back with Coffee Buddy. In this episode, I would like to tackle that navbar finally. So our primary nav, and if we look at it in our design document, it does not look like a bulleted list. It is not vertically stacked, it's horizontal, and we have some different color effects happening. In addition, the text is in all caps, and it's a different font. Actually, this font looks like it is correct. It's using the web font. So let's tackle that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to style the navbar just using the text, and I'm going to avoid the position and the background for this video. That'll be in the next one. So before we begin, let's take a look at the structure. Our navbar is an unordered list, which is a really common structure for navs. And we see our nav semantic tag. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a class to this nav. If there are other navs in your document, you don't want these styles to affect every navbar that you've set up, every unordered list. So we're going to use a class to make this a little bit easier. So I'm going to use the class nav-primary, and that should be good for now. We'll hop over to styles. So if you're using, we're just using regular vanilla CSS here. Using some tooling like Sass, it can simplify this process and neaten up your code a lot. So I would recommend checking that out. But we're just going to code this in plain CSS and see how that goes. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the bullets. So the list style type property, we'll set that to none. And if we go check that out, we should be able to see that effect. There we go. I'm going to inspect this element now, and I can look at the UL and the LI items in my dev tools, and I can see exactly what's happening. So my nav primary has no border or margin. The UL has 40 pixels padding on the left, and then it looks like it has a margin on the top and bottom. So I'm going to take that out. And here we'll set the margin and padding to 0. Here we go. So finally we have our list items, and then within that we have our A tags, which is the links themselves. So right now the list items are stacked vertically because they are all block elements. If I hover over them, I can see that they stretch across the entire screen, and I can modify that. So if we use display inline, we should now see the list all in one line. Let's take a look at our design doc real quick. We can see that there's some spacing in between each element, and looks like they no longer have the underline. The other underline is on hover. So on hover, on any of these menu items, it turns green and has an underline. The underline is the text decoration property, and we'll set that to none. There we go. And I can check out the padding here, see if we can find a padding that works for our layout. Whoops. Looks like 10 pixels will work. So what I'm going to do is set the height padding to 0 and then the left and right to 10 pixels. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now let's tackle the color. In our design document, I've spec'd out the different colors that we're going to be using. So we have this light brown, dark brown, and this reddish color, as well as the green. It looks like the text for our menu is that reddish color and the green. So the reddish color is a hexadecimal right here. I'm just going to copy that. What we could do is we could take the time at this point to set up some CSS variables, and that might be worthwhile because it'll save us some time later on. If we want to reuse this design or any of these CSS rule sets on other websites, that makes it very easy to change the different color palettes, and it will cascade throughout your entire layout. So that's definitely something for those of you who are looking to expand your knowledge a little further. So we're going to plug that color in and test that, and now we can see that we have that reddish color. The text is mixed case, so we're going to use text transform. And we're going to set it to uppercase. And we should, now we have the all caps like in our design document. Finally, I'd like to achieve that rollover effect where when we hover over the link, it turns green and we see the underline. For that, we're going to use a pseudo class. Called hover, and we'll change the color. And we'll also change the text decoration to underline. Okay. So this isn't working, and let's take a look at why. If I go to the dev tools, I can check on the element, I can click the hover and I can check hover, and I can see that my style is not being applied. So I'm just going to jump back over to my code and see if I can find my error. It looks like I didn't use the class properly. So now if we save that, we've got nav primary and then a:hover. So when we hover over a link that's inside nav primary, it will change green and show us the underline. That's it for this video. In the next video, we'll tackle some of the positioning concepts in this design and start adding some backgrounds. Thanks for watching.